It's so I can't read that. The chat is so small. Pop that out. Thank you. Uh-oh. Okay, that was a weird little false start going on there. Oh, we've got nothing going. Nothing loaded. Awesome. Yeah, it crashed. It crashed real hard. Bloop. There we go. No, don't do that. There's something about moving the YouTube chat that just like crashes everything. But I think we are good to go, and I will tell you in a moment if we are. What? No. Get out of here. Get out of here, random stuff. Get out of here. I got 50 likes. Okay. Thanks. That was weird, but alright. Get out of here, ads. Looks like we are live on YouTube. Now it is time to start up Twitch. Beep, boop. Let's see if it crashes again. That was weird. I don't know why it crashed either. It was like... We are up and running. Noise, noise, noise. All right, cool. We're back for another DM Roundtable with Archibald's Archive. We are definitely intending to finish this today. If you have not been hanging out with us recently, you might be a little bit lost, but not really. We are currently going through a huge supplement called Archibald's Archive of Adventurous Inventions. And it's basically an almost all Artificer supplement, but there is some more stuff in there. We've gone through the subclasses, the new rework of the class, basically. Whole bunch of magic items. We've gone through some new races, or species, whatever you want to call them. Same idea. Lineages, if you're a Pathfinder player. Same sort of ideas. And now we're down into the Manual of Adventurous Inventions, which is very important if you are an Artificer player, because this is the stuff that you can build. And this sort of helps you out. We'll have lots to talk about on this particular topic. But things I do want to get out of the way before we start. We're assuming we're going to finish Archibald's Archive tonight. The best part of this, in my opinion, is what's coming after the manual. There's a how to build your own automaton, which is mwah. That's yeah, I think we're going to spend a lot of time on that. But we're assuming we finish tonight, which means the polls are back, so we're back on regularly scheduled programming, which means at the end of the stream, I'm going to post 10 options that you players of all classes can choose from, and you guys get one vote as the community, and then all of us DMs, regardless of how many actually show up to the stream, because generally speaking, it's me, DM Lacara, and DM Shin. There are other DMs in our DM chat. They get a vote as well, as long as they're paying attention, or they're still logged into Discord, as we learned, I guess, in between episodes, that DM Bacon has been logged out of Discord for months. So that probably doesn't help his chances of showing up to streams. But we're back on our regular polls. So 24 hours after a stream ends, the poll's open. You can vote in it. Whatever the most people from the community vote for, that topic goes in as a community vote. And that determines what we're going to look at next week on DM Roundtable. And then, let me see, what other things do I want to talk about before we get into it? Oh, one thing I do want to talk to everyone about is, generally speaking, if you've hung out on my channels for a while, I have an annual knot party, and the origins of this are because when I was little, my mom used to have a party, and then one of my friends growing up told another friend that I had made in high school, oh, I have a party every year, even though we hadn't had a party in many years. And that friend gathered up a bunch of our friends together and was like, all right, I'm coming over for your party on New Year's. And I was like, my what? Huh? Hey? And that sort of became a thing. What's up, Arvin? Um, and so generally speaking, people just show up at my house on New Year's Eve, and on most years, we all stream playing a game together. We try to get one that other people can join us digitally for, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's just us in the room, and then we like pause the game, wait for the ball to drop, celebrate with people, and then go back for a little bit of gaming. I don't know if we're gonna do that stream tomorrow because I don't know when people are showing up. The annual knot party has become such a low, I don't want to say tier or energy, but like low efficiency party that people don't tell me they're coming anymore, like at all. Like not even a heads up. They just kind of show up at some point. So I don't know if we'll have enough people to stream. I don't know if we will be streaming. We might be playing board and card games. But if we don't see any of you guys and gals out there tomorrow, I hope you all enjoy your New Year's. You've made some good resolutions. You want to have more fun next year. I don't know. We will hopefully see you, but I hope you all have fun celebrating. What was that noise? That was a new noise too.
Everything's a new noise.
Hello.
Well, howdy, ho.
I feel like we haven't spoken in so long because we took a week break.
I know. It's kind of weird. I haven't been not busy. I literally have been tortured at work.
Oh.
Because I'm sitting there, and for some odd reason, as I sat there, my brain just crafted everything for my game.
Oh.
And so I'm drafting up things by hand at work, and I'm like, I can't do this at work.
I mean, you can.
I can't TTRPG at work. Can't do it. I shouldn't. But I need to stop.
Hey man, at least you're getting into it, and I'm not taking any of the thunder away, but I did in the preview posts for tonight. There will be some reveals later because DM Lacara has been at such hard work during her time off that there's so much stuff to share.
Oh, I know DM Lacara has been if this was the kitchen, cooking. I think that's the cool term. No, I'm just playing. I'm not that old. But no, I definitely know that if DM Lacara has been in the background working on things, she's cooking up some madness.
Oh, it's so good.
And I am excited for it. I'm sure everyone that's here tonight for the last stream of the year. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of crazy that we've done this consecutively for calendar months.
I know. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I think we have like, I don't want to say 30 streams, but we got to be pretty close.
Oh, because when did we start? Beginning of the summer?
Yeah, I think so. I should know this. Not we. I should know this. Hold on.
You know, as I say it in my head, I'm like, Yeah, that's kind of true. You should know this, shouldn't
Do do
you?
do 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 do. Let me see. How do I get to playlists on here? Man, looking at this in mobile is so weird. Like it's all wrong. Like nope, that ain't right.
This is why people need to subscribe. so
So so
you
so
know
we
things.
can have lore masters.
Yes, we can have we could pay someone to remember this stuff.
It says we started 9 months ago. We did?
Wow.
We
Wow.
did?
9 months ago?
This is our
Hey, girl.
baby. You've been here a
Well, if
while.
you've been
Logan.
along for the ride for 9 months, thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
all.
you.
And here's to way more than 9 months more.
Oh, hell yeah. We've only just begun. And I think I know I'll speak for myself on this one in saying that it is always fun to know that my Monday is going to let me word vomit enough of the stuff that came through my head through the weekend while simultaneously hanging out with friends and talking about cool material that's already out there for the community to work with, and maybe even giving people new ways to look at things. I think it's really cool to be able to do that and to kind of feel like a voice in the community.
Yeah. I won't lie. When we both quit our jobs.
Actually, it happened literally a year ago.
Yeah. When we both quit our jobs, I was like, you know what I want to do? I feel like one of the nicest people in the community is leaving, and that was Joe Cat, and I was like, I would also just like to be a chill place to talk about TTRPGs. And Joe Cat's back now, but I still feel like we've eked out our own like little niche. And we're just gonna keep like clawing at the walls until it gets bigger and bigger.
Oh, it's too late. We made a hole in the basement.
Yes.
Not getting rid of us. The infestation is here.
Yes.
Can I make this sound any more appealing?
We are the labyrinth.
Right? Just. I was watching that episode again. Where we just started word vomiting on like the depths of what the labyrinth is, and I was just like, wow. We give this away for free. Just
No. It makes me feel so good. Like, oh, I can contribute. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that like you guys get to witness a lot of our unplugged ideas. Is probably the coolest way to put it. Like I said, it's always fun to share them. And tonight, I know we're gonna hopefully clean up and clear Archibald.
Hopefully. That's the plan. I hope. It was. No, we're good. We're back. We only took our week break. It's so nice to see that subscriber icon because I finally went in after I was going to say last week. No, 2 streams ago, realizing that I never uploaded any of the icons to Twitch. But I did put them all on YouTube, and then I was like, wait, I could make them the same, but I'm going to make them slightly different. So the Twitch subscribers still have Golden Wolfin's icons, but they are slightly different icons over time. I was like, I might as well make them a little different. Awaz is betting against us that we're not going to finish. We shall see.
I mean, it's not a bad bet.
It's true. It's true.
If
we don't have a very good track record.
Yeah, if you've been watching Roundtable for a while now, you probably know that we collectively just cannot maintain a thought process that will not turn into 7 other thought processes. It's just,
it's true.
I don't want to call it impossible, but it's highly unlikely that we're going to maintain
Yeah,
a proper rhythm.
We don't full steam ahead for very long. It's more like full steam ahead and then shift into like third and slide off to the side, go off-roading.
Oh, we off-road.
I will also say that I know DM Lacara is going to be late tonight, so we're not going to wait for her to start. But I'm sure she also has some things to say about the Manual of Adventurous Inventions, which is where we are now, which is basically like a treatise on how you, as a player, and very importantly, working with your DM, not just making shit up by yourself, can make new items.
Most important part: do not invent shit for your DM's campaign if your DM did not approve said invention.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
And that sounds a little wild, but
Arvin, when you stopped at We Are, I didn't go into One Piece. I instead went immediately into Venom because that's where I'm gonna go all the time. It's just where I am. I also realized I set up my notepads and papers and stuff, but I didn't leave myself an empty page to put new timestamps and what have you. I'm gonna pull out the empty page now so I can put in some stuff. But yeah.
Living a little reckless.
Whoops.
A little wild and fancy free there, buddy.
Oopsies. But yes, we've got the Manual of Adventurous Inventions. And basically, the flavor text, which is kind of cute and stuff, is like, yo, this is why you become an artificer, is so you can make stuff. And I know that they have released the playtest materials for the new artificers in 2024. We're not gonna go into that right now. We're gonna stay here in Archibald's archive.
We don't need the rage.
Yeah, we don't need that right now.
There is a non-zero chance we will find our way to it.
It's true. But that's just the way things are. I will say that Archibald's over here like, yo, you should do this, blah, 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 blah. A big thing to take into account is that all of the stuff based here is like the times and the amounts and what have you is based on what tier of play you're in. So if you're not sure what that means, it's not like tier list wise like a fighting game, like how good your character is. It's the tiers of gameplay. So like 1 to 5 is you're starting out, 5 to 10 is a second tier where you're like, oh, we're local heroes, people know us. And then the third tier is 11 to 15 basically, and you're like, oh, people in your country probably know who you are. And then 16 to 20 is like, you're out there saving the whole world.
I like that scale for anything really, and especially in TTRPGs, where you really get to remind your players that you've got to grow to get known, or it's getting known for that one invention. It's a crapshoot. You know, like, oh, you invented something. You invented a new potion. Roll on this table to see whether or not your new potion is a hit or not.
Ooh.
And doing things like that. And that would be fun. This kind of plays into that idea.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Basically, the way that Archibald's doing it, or the way that Adventurous Gur is explaining it, you should have tools that make sense for whatever you're building.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're making, I'm gonna say it, and I might summon him. I don't know. If you're making guns or something, you're probably gonna need smith's tools.
Just don't say it. Don't say it.
But basically, you have
feel free to invoke my primal scream.
you have invention checks because yeah, you're making something new.
Yes.
However, these checks, the way that it is done here, is they're based on time frames for how long it would take you to make new things and what tier of play you're in. I think these times are incredibly short. Like if you're in tier 4, again the DC is super high and you're not really wasting that much money to make prototypes, which you would think you're making multiple prototypes. But 24 hours to make a tier 4 new thing that's never been made before seems very small.
You have to think about it though as a character can't commit 24 hours of an action without exhaustion. So naturally, there is a matter of breaking that up. So you have to figure it's probably going to be at least 3 8-hour sessions for that character, and it has to be 3 8-hour uninterrupted. So because again, for them to take 24 hours, they've already hit a level of exhaustion, I believe, midway through.
My players yelled at me for this. Rules as written, even though that is exactly how I've seen everyone play the game exactly like you just described, where once you've been awake for 24 hours, you suffer exhaustion. However, my players were arguing with me. Rules as written, it's after that 24 hours, if you stay up another 24 hours without taking a rest, then you start making saves.
Yes. Rules as written, that is true. However, realistically speaking, after 20, if you've ever been foolish enough to stay awake past the 24-hour mark, and I am a person guilty of it.
Same.
Your body begins to enter odd states of delirium and aches and pains. That is exhaustion.
Yep.
It does not wait for a second day to kick in. The second day kicking in is probably life-threatening.
Listen, when you're young, you can try this.
You will too.
Yeah. When you're an adult though, don't do this.
Please don't.
Don't do this.
The Roundtable asks that you at least squeeze in. I'd like to ask 6 to 8 hours of sleep, but let's be realistic. 4 to 8 hours, and 4 is really, really lowballing it. But I know how some of us insomniacs are. So Arvin, to answer your previous statement, I will rest when the Roundtable rests. No, I've actually gotten some rest today, and we'll be off tomorrow, so I will get extra rest.
Egg in their pocket.
Shout out to my boss.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
What?
No shout out to your boss. You just started a job. They better be nice to you.
Oh no! I have days off.
Okay, that's good. That's always.
Yeah, no, they gave me. Apparently, I had time off, and they gave it to me.
Oh, good.
Like my boss looked at the system today and was just like, "You have time off," and kicked me out of the office at like 1:30. She like sent me home. She's like, "Go home and don't come tomorrow. You have paid time off." I was like, "Oh, okay."
You have chickens? Not
Yes, I want chicken.
not you at work. I mean, maybe your job has chickens, but I feel like that would be
listen, if
loud.
we acquire chickens, that job might be cooler than I thought. But
So rules is written when you pass the 24-hour mark, your characters are technically fine until they hit the next 24-hour mark without taking a rest. Then they start rolling saves. But like if you've ever been up for more than 24 hours, you don't work. Like your body don't work like it's supposed to.
also, insinuating that your characters are going to not take any rest for 48 entire hours. Like the idea that your characters are going to be in action for 48 hours consecutively without ever requiring a break is kind of insane, because even in a war, like even if you're simulating a battlefield, you have to stop and recharge.
Yeah.
And a short rest constitutes rest.
Yeah. Like and like imagine people who are casting spells and stuff. You don't want a spellcaster who's not in their right mind just like poking at the weave.
Oh yeah. Oh, that fireball becomes a lot more dangerous after 36 hours of sleep deprivation.
Where's it gonna go? Nobody knows. And we've had this discussion with my players as well. Fireball is one of those spells where it doesn't travel from you to the point that you want to explode. It just appears at the point you want to explode.
Yeah, it's funny that people's idea of fireball is really firebolt.
Yep.
Because firebolt is the lobbing of a flame grenade. But in a lot of video games, mostly due to translation, we've turned fireball into this little tiny little handheld bomb. But in D&D, it is truly, as DM Okami said, a point blank explosion. You are Roy Mustang.
Oh, good choice.
You snap your fingers and literally just combustion occurred.
I don't know if I don't think the noise gate is going to let my snapping go through, but maybe if I'm talking while it happens. Just
indiscriminate, but fireball is
yes. That's a
fireball is also the indiscriminate team killer. you can get play of the game for both sides of for both teams with a good fireball. Though if you get a monk or a rogue on your team above level 6, I think actually above level 13, they just stand in the flames and watch the flames avoid them. But not to get off Terran.
Uncanny dodge. Ugh, so annoying. Let me hurt you.
But not to get too crazy off topic, I do think the 200 gold pieces is kind of an inexpensive cost. I would say 2,000 gold pieces.
Especially if you're at tier 4, like you're literally looking for excuses to spend money at that point.
Yeah, I feel like
in most campaigns.
Like, to go on to the next example where they give the invention examples for tiers, if you're building a pressurized diving suit and selling it for 200 gold, I mean, I'm guessing the markup has to be insane for you. Because in that sense, then, yeah, I guess you kind of enjoy it being 200 gold. But the items you're going to be creating, I mean, a pressurized diving suit I'm imagining that's going for thousands, and you've got some special deal with like Waterdeep.
Yeah.
You know, a stake driver or a self-driving cart. I'm imagining that you live in Barovia and literally have like an anti-Strahd militia that you just empower.
There is no default burning emote. What? That's oh yes, there is. Just had to find it. There we go. I was trying to make it big. It's like oh, it's curse lit. I would have never found that. I searched for fire and burning.
Oh, Team Curse. Oh God, that's a.
But yeah,
time.
like actually, inventive weapons, stake driver / both of those give me Bloodborne vibes.
Yeah, which I like because I kind of want to steal because I like that personally right now. Gives me an idea, but
I like ideas.
Even the first one, a pocket sundial or a door jammer. I'm imagining a door jammer is just the wonkiest invention. But if the next tier up is an underwater lantern from a door jammer, again, this could just be me, but I feel like that's quite the jump in skill.
Yeah.
For one tier. Like to be utilizing the same tools for the first 3 tiers, obviously. Obviously the third tier requiring both tinker and smith carpenter's tool, like requiring all of the tools, which is fine. I have a hard time believing that gaining a second tool set is really like I wouldn't just give this to a player, I guess is the best way to put it. You would be spending time training to be able to unlock tier 2.
And if you take the default learning a new tool set rules, which is 10 weeks minus your intelligence modifier, like that's a huge amount of time compared to how you can, like, you spent more time learning the tools than you did perfecting your design, which is a little weird.
Yeah. I would say that the first time you want to craft an item, you're going to roll for it a few times. And if you roll well, then yeah, you know what? You've gotten skilled enough to do it. But if you kind of have some bad rolls, you make the item successfully, but you got to roll again next time you want to make it. You know, you don't have the ability to mass produce it.
Okay. I see that. Yeah, like you don't have it's not necessarily proficiency, but like the what's the best example I can think of? Oh, like in in Genshin Impact when you cook a meal, you have to cook it well or perfect 10 times before your character like knows how to do it.
Yeah, you're perfecting the recipe.
Oh, that's interesting. He is Mr. Fantastic for a reason. I didn't think of that. Yeah. Maybe you have to do it multiple times before you can actually keep making them. So it's not like you can just keep making money. Because I know a lot of people think, or I guess there's this notion that, oh, I'm becoming an artificer so that I can sell things. And in 2014 rules, that's, I guess, doable. In 2024 rules, it's not really doable for that to be your artificer's thing. The current playtest rules say that you can't make anything new. You can only copy something you've seen, which I feel like
Eh.
is against the entire design philosophy of what an artificer is, but what do I know?
Yeah, that's a weird one. That's not sure, not sure can agree.
That's why we're here, to tell you, do whatever you want in your game.
Basically,
No one's coming after you.
we are not the Pinkertons.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Which is probably something the Pinkertons would say, right?
I guess. I feel like they announce themselves, though, via gunshots.
The Pinkertons are here. Oh no, bullets. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeehaw! But inventive weapons. Okay. Yes, this fit exactly. If you're when you make your yeehaw, inventive weapons here. Important thing to note is this is not damage per attack. This is damage per turn. So like that tier 1 is probably more of like a 1d4 weapon at max. Like when you get your second attack is more than that, than every swing being 1d6 or 1d8. I feel like for a player, these numbers are okay, but if it was a minion, these would be pretty weak at those particular tiers. Hey, I see yours. Why, thank you. Oh, we're starting. It's not even. I was gonna say we're starting the year off right. It's not even in the new year yet. We're ending the year right. Oh yeah. And my notifications are working.
Notifications. Look, it only took us what, 9 months?
Ah, thereabouts.
Let me check 9 months.
If I were a person in D&D, would that count as having a line of sight on them? I guess it depends on where you were. I will say D&D doesn't use this as much, but I know Warhammer uses this idea where they say to either have a ruler near the table or they want you to get a small one. So I would suggest maybe like a fabric tape measure because they're really thin. And like Warhammer says, if you can't figure out if your character has line of sight, just put the ruler between the two things you want to look at, or like unfurl the tape measure between them. And if they connect, then you've got line of sight.
Yeah, it's tricky because line of sight really doesn't take into account things like character height. Because I would argue that a halfling,
that's a good point,
can look around a giant's leg to see the enemy on the other side of them to cast the spell. Whereas, a human might not actually do that. Or two humans of equal height, I might say, no, we might block each other. Like, there are certain things I think you can get away with, and it's a lot of table semantics.
Ooh,
but
interesting.
I would say I do agree with the idea that Warhammer gave for line of sight. That if you can connect, or if you're playing digitally, if you can connect a line without breaking, you should be. I think you're okay. Okay, because I want to literally enter a boss, cast Contagion, while in them, then leave, take a long rest, then re-enter them and cast Geas. It will.
How long
If it survives, the
I
combination of things that you're doing, and you do succeed on your rolls for it, because obviously you're gonna have to deal with your
2024 rules.
spellcast DC. It will be tricky. And there are and depending on what it is, there are potentials for legendary resistances. So don't forget to always be aware that creatures have legendary resistances. Contrary, few guns can always scale. I mean, yes, they can scale, but force multipliers, at least at the early stages, are still susceptible to the old fireball. So
It's true. Are these like... Listen, there are so many diseases that like no one ever looks at that are already in the rule books.
yeah.
It's nice. There's there's just like a whole nother section of like, well, I feel like that kind of play where you're going for diseases and debuffs like that is just more, to me, Pathfindery.
It does stem a little bit more into the realm of the what we've moved from 3.5 E forward.
Mm.
But I do think it's a cool idea that you're stacking your debuffs in a way to target and assist your next spell. That is the way you should do things. I always think of like the Hexblade. There was an Eldritch invocation that allowed you to kind of like apply hexing strikes to reduce things. And I always thought that's a cool thing, that like if you have a bard in your party, or you have a wizard in your party, oh, they're gonna cast fireball. Okay, hit the guy that's got a really high dex, drop their dex with the curse, and then now you've got an even better chance to hit this guy with the fireball. You should stack things to work in yours or other people's advantages. If the wizard gets captured by the enemy barbarian, sapping the enemy barbarian's strength helps the wizard make its strength check.
For 30 days.
Things like that. Geas, it scales upwards, if you're asking.
You could do it for a year.
Yeah.
Or forever if you use a ninth level. Jesus. This one actually keeps dealing damage. It looks like Contagion just keeps the poisoned effect on them.
Yeah.
For 7 days.
But they can remove it with, I think, Greater Restoration.
Any way that would remove a curse, I think it said. No, any way that removes poison. So Geas is a better option because you need remove curse.
Yeah. Yeah, Geas would require you to seek out a high level cleric.
Are not all of our VODs out of context?
This is true. This is true. We should have an out of context VOD one of these days. Just create an entire sub-series of
that's
after
good.
table talk.
There's a lot of there's interplay between characters where sometimes I break it down to my players like, hey, I know you guys have a strategy that you want to use. So, that being said, I'll be like, normally we do, well, within my group, every single creature has to have a different initiative. For the very first time, my players last session were like, hey, there's too many people. And I'm like, oh, really? Can we break them into groups? I was like, oh, really? But normally my players fight like, oh, I can't. You need to have every single creature have a different initiative on the list because they might have different stats, and we need to know that. And I'm like, no, you really don't. But rather than fight with them, we've just had enormous initiative trackers with like 40 items on them. But last time we had our groups, and normally I say to them now, like, hey, if you guys have a strategy you want to employ, we can change the way we do initiative for this particular encounter. Like we can roll one group initiative for you and one group initiative for the enemy, and that way you can choose what order to go in so you can do whatever you need to do. Because if you all roll initiative individually, your strategy's probably going to get messed up. Ooh. Technically, you can use stream stuff. It's the chat one in there. Oh, even though they're actually streaming in stream stuff right now. They are watching. Oh, why did I even ask? They're watching Japanese wrestling. But you could put it in stream stuff. Or I could make another voice channel, put it in events. That's a good idea. I'm going to write that down. I'll work it out. And then I got to talk to Grimjack about it because he's the only I mean, he does own the server. It's his server. But he'll be like, that's not where it's supposed to be. Stop that. Stop that. It has to be in the right section. And I'll be like, which one of us has OCD, me or you?
I could take a guess. But I will say one thing we don't have to guess about. Well, actually, I guess you do do a little guesswork. You had mentioned it before we had kind of moved on a little bit, but on the inventive weapon side of things, you are taking, this is the average amount of damage you're dealing per turn, or roughly the dice amount of damage that you're dealing per turn. Which is why at first 4d6 to 4d8 at tier 4 seems really crazy. But when you think about it, that's essentially saying that you've got 2 attacks with potentially 2 different weapons. It's like you could dual wield long swords. The most damage you're doing at a time is 24 to 32 damage, which is a lot. But
at that tier, you're probably not like maybe an eighth of an enemy's health bar.
Yeah.
Maybe, if that, probably less. So it's not that bad.
That's not even factoring in resistances, all the other fun things. And you have to hit. Don't forget that.
True. You do have to hit. And then the last thing in this section is, again, another thing we had mentioned before. Communication is key. If you're a player, please talk to your DM before you start making stuff. Work with them on it. And
stress them.
Yeah, they're stressed enough. And there's another section of this. This says this is the if you're a player, but the if you're the DM section actually got cut off. So if you didn't know this, if someone had made a home brewery page before they did whatever their layout format change was, you can actually read everything that's there, even if it got pushed off the page, if you come over to source and hit view. So I just took that part over here. But basically, the part that's cut off is if you're a DM, talk to your players, make sure that they understand what's going on. I talk to your players and make sure they understand what's going on is very important no matter what. I have a whole delving into your DMs about this because generally speaking, when your players don't understand something, even if it's one of them out of your group of 4 or 5 or 8 or 10, however many players you have, if it's just one of them, chances are they won't blame the other players at the table when they don't understand something. They're going to blame the DM. Even if everyone else at the table understood what was going on, they're going to blame the DM for not explaining something. So,
and to that point, everyone does learn things at different speeds. However, if at the end of a session, something that we as DMs have gone over doesn't click, ask us. If you're embarrassed, message us on the side.
Yeah.
Always will have a way to reach a DM outside of the game for clarification if something doesn't make sense. But don't be afraid to ask, because you're only hurting yourself and your enjoyment potentially of the game. And it's a learning experience for us as DMs too, because sometimes we don't realize that the way we explained it doesn't work for everyone. Yep. I've had times where I use references that in my head, my whole table is going to get, and someone at the table doesn't quite grasp the reference. And, you know, they kind of look, I see the look of confusion, and I'm like, oh, I get it. Not everyone has seen X list of movies or consumed X media. You know what I mean? So it's a learning curve.
And also something that I learned the first time I played with a group of like all people that I knew very well, as opposed to like, oh, I only knew one person in the group. Sometimes you don't even have to ask the DM. Ask your fellow players.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you will ever find a DM that knows every thing written in like the PHB, the DMG, the monster manual, front to back. Everyone's got a different amount of things memorized. So like it's collaborative. If someone doesn't know the rules for one thing, probably someone else at the table does.
And quite honestly, as players, you are only as strong as the knowledge of your party.
You
know, a lot of times I've seen in parties where the player who's more knowledgeable or more seasoned, the more seasoned adventurer from other campaigns, will sometimes get looked at as, oh, well, you know exactly what the right answer to do. Always know the right answer. And it's like, no. Sometimes you have to allow people to take a risk, because that is part of D&D.
And you may know book stats for creatures and what's happening, but that doesn't mean that's what the DM's running with.
Nope.
So talk about it.
I'll tell you, if you ever find yourself in a DM campaign of mine, I will never use PHB. I almost said PHB prices. I will never use PHB stats for my monsters. I have tweaked almost everything to fit a purpose.
That's where our fun of the game comes in.
Oh yeah. But to not linger too much, to continue forward, we get to a fun part.
This is the part I think everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah, this is the part I'm so glad I did not miss. We're going to talk about, listen, if you've existed in the past, I don't know, millennia, then at some point or another, it's probably crossed your mind, man, imagine if I had a giant robot. Archibald the Great, truly the great, the GOAT, has cooked up a great way for you to build an automaton.
Woo-wee! Disclaimer, take no responsibility for dead party members' hurt feelings or nightmares caused by creations, okay? Just so you know.
I love the start of this entire section because we get one of the fun Archibald quotes, which is, "Sir Percival, do you think we should give you some weapons as well? No, I agree, you are a bit too young for something like that. Now, where was I? Ah, yes! I wanted to explain how to construct an automaton, and importantly, how to assure that it will not attack its creator. Yes. Yes. Because literally you are building an automated creature. You have to ensure it's not going to turn on you.
A lot of people don't run, like, they make their robots whatever they want, blah 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 blah. But like golems, for example, if you use that as your basis for an automaton, they're not smart, but they do follow directions. So if they're given an order, they gonna do it. So just make sure your BBEGs are like, hey, don't punch me in the face. Or it doesn't have to be a BBEG. It could be whoever you want. Just building robots. Who doesn't want to build robots?
I'm not gonna lie, I think everyone wants to build robots.
Yeah, everyone does. And as we get further on into this segment, I'm just gonna throw everyone the bone out there if they haven't realized it yet. You don't have to put whatever pops up in here because it's sort of a plug and play system. You don't have to throw it on an automaton. You can put it on whatever you want.
Whatever you like. You can truly have whatever you like. You can have it your way here.
And oh yes, hit him with the bender. Let's go. Again, like the stat block is default, but this is a game. This is a collaborative storytelling game. It's coming from all of your imaginations. You can describe this dude any way you want. Oh, he's a quad walker. Oh, he's got tank treads. Oh, he's got 8 appendages. They all work as both arms and feet. Do whatever you want. It's your automaton. And you can make it as small as you want or as big as you want.
It could be human size. It could be giant. Just be aware that whatever size you make it, be aware of how it's going to work for story purposes as well. Because as cool as it may be to build a giant, 8-leg dual flame throwing centaur bot, the city guard may not really appreciate it encroaching on the town walls, looking like a siege machine. So, think about that before you build a Megazord.
Also, good points. Make sure it fits into the world too. Like if your world has no artificers, don't go into, if you're a player, don't go into the game thinking, "Oh, this is what I'm going to build in this guy's world." No. And fit it in, one of the primes. Yes. Fit it in to what you're doing, especially if you're the DM, like you know how the world works. If that's the side you're coming at this from, make sure that whatever you build onto it makes sense. Or if for some reason this huge destroyer robot is coming at you and it looks completely otherworldly, and your players want to just latch on to the fact that this doesn't fit in, maybe give them a way to tell them how and why.
Yeah. Have fun with it.
There's another one that has everything pushed off the page. Sorry, continue.
Oh no, I was gonna say, because at the end of the day, you're building a giant robot.
All of your players can be named Shinji. It's up to you.
As long as a DM you Gendo hard. But we do have some off the page as we get some stat block for our automaton friend here. And I'm gonna say, just we all miss listening to Cheap Trick.
It's true.
I love that, and this is just kind of scanning the page as a whole. I love that things are broken up in evolution via CR. Now, as a DM, I can tell you that I rarely practice CR. So the fact that his CR listing is 1 to 20 is going to be my level. And I'm going to just live by that. Now, I know that's the improper way to do your CR system, but I don't care. Okay. I don't care at all. I just wanted to say that I love that breakdown because this takes the guesswork out of what it gives your player the agency to craft whatever they want on this thing and for you to have stat baselines.
Sometimes you just need a good framework.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Spirit warriors are surprisingly tough, considering like the people who can summon them are usually not that high level or high CR. Then all of a sudden they have like their own built-in paladin flying around. Hey, don't hit me. That hurts a lot. Also, just putting it out there again. Just ignore all the spelling errors. There are plenty. We don't need to talk about them.
Yeah, it's okay.
It happens. Ooh, biotech is good. The one thing that's weird here is there's a reason later on why thunder is. I think we have a new. Hello.
Hello. Happy holidays. Happy almost New Year.
Happy almost New Year.
It was good to hear from you.
The gang's all here.
The way we could end the year off for the round table, right, is with all of us here at the table.
I'm hoping
That's
next
right.
year some more DMs come. I did talk to Dungeon
Ooh.
Mommy about D&D, so I think Dungeon Mommy might start showing up soon. And I did learn that DM Bacon has been signed out of Discord for months and did not realize it until we had our session 2 weeks ago. And he was like, "What do you mean I'm supposed to be at your house today?" And we were like, "What do you mean? What do you mean you're supposed to be here?"
You can't tell me he didn't realize he wasn't getting notification. Like, months.
I just DM things.
Just DM things. It happens. We have just made it to build your own automaton, DM Lacara. And we figure
Oh,
you
hell
probably have some things to say about this stuff too.
I have not looked at any of this, so you will be getting my shoot from the hip feels about
Oh,
this.
hell yeah.
Because I have been otherwise occupied the last week.
Ooh,
No, it's
we're going to get to
okay.
that too. But basically, what I was going to say is we'll learn later on there are reasons why they're saying this guy has resistance to thunder damage. But in the immunity section, generally speaking, all the golems are immune to poison and psychic damage. This one, your basic automaton, doesn't have immunity to psychic damage, which is interesting because you could look at that as an oversight because it's construct and the Adventurous Girl was just like, yeah, whatever, we don't need that. Or you can look at it as this guy has some built-in AI. Like there is some semblance of sentience within this guy, making it smarter than your golem.
And there's so many fun ways that you can go with that too, of like how it got that sentience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only like weird thing within the template beyond tactical template, which Adventurous Gur and Archibald provided like a basic AI system for your automaton, which is so I recently watched How to Play and How to Set Up Street Masters, which is a board game that I spent way too much money on and got all the expansions for because it's basically a
Not
beat 'em
for
up.
playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I hadn't thought of it originally as I'm gonna play this. I just thought of it as it must be better than Super Powerful Bonanza, so I can compare and contrast the two. But then after watching the gameplay of it, I was like, oh, this is actually super smart. Where for some reason I thought it was a game where you needed someone to like arbitrate, like you needed a game master basically to run the bad guys, but you do not because each of the bad guys, whenever you draw them, they have like a basic script that is their basically battle AI. Like, oh, if there's no hero within 2 units, move 2 units towards the closest hero. If you start a round with people in your area, do this. And I was like, I wish more creatures
Yes.
had that. Because as a
We've
DM,
talked
when you're
about this.
when you're running like 20 dudes at once, and you have to figure out, what will this guy do? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes it's helpful. So that's what the tactical templates are for. You can just be like, boom, this particular automaton doesn't like spellcasters. He will always go for spellcasters first.
Yep.
Super helpful.
I think, and 5e could have that so easily built into the monsters, like based on what type they were or like where they came from. It was like monstrosities always do this kind of thing. Like if something has pack tactics, this is how they attack. Like, you know, surround first, then attack. Like it would not be hard to set up a couple of overarching templates just to give people an idea, and then you can tweak it as you want.
Yes. If that's what you're looking for, I was gonna say, guys, nope, wrong thing. You players of all classes, there we go. Should check out The Monsters Know What They're Doing, because it's basically whole books about just that. Like, what would this creature do? When you watch the VOD, there'll be a link in the top because I did a supplemental solo on it. It'll be up in the top.
Trust the monsters. Not as a player, as the DM.
Yeah, as a DM. As the players, just don't go in their mouth.
Or whatever they have.
True. It's true. But basically, there's then a breakdown of your every automaton has a bunch of. We were talking about this right before you came in, DM Lacara, the Adventurous Gur / Archibald, if you want to say they're in character. They broke everything down into like CR levels for the creatures.
Okay.
So like you just plug and play, like, oh, I want to CR whatever creature, like, oh, I know what the stats are basically, and just and throw them in there. And
Nice.
they even have a nice little abilities section here where, like, oh, depending on their CR, they have a certain number of actions they're capable of doing. They have a certain number of reactions. They have a certain number of passives, and they have multi-action options as well. Like, oh, thank you. This would make stat blocks so much easier if you just threw something like that in.
You have no idea. If we had a uniform system for scaling monsters, life would be so much simpler. Oh, you want to run something at CR 8 to 15? Add this to these stats.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be so helpful. It would be so helpful.
Just
Also,
have things fall into classifications. I know people will be annoyed, but we'll get over it.
Yeah.
You can hide the algorithm.
Yeah.
You had enough time to rewrite 2024 and make it trash. You could write something proper. We always find a way at the round table. Always.
Yeah, there's no way to not.
Also a way to figure out how to scale a fight without, either your players just waltzing through it unscathed or like actually TPKing them when you don't mean to, would
Yeah.
be really nice because the rules as written are terrible.
Yeah. It's so glad. As a newer DM, the idea that you can keep tweaking things and you keep like over tuning everything to think that it's balanced, and then every fight is so glass cannony. It's like, oh, those first 2 rounds, it's over after that. Maybe
Yep.
you get lucky.
I don't. You guys still haven't had a real fight. We have been playing for almost a year, and you guys have not gone for more than like, except for that one first session.
We're ready for them to like be in the throwdown showdown. They're like, nah. We're gonna skip around this.
No, our
Good fights,
our one long encounter was because everyone was rolling ones.
it was supposed to be just a little flavor thing that like Okami's character and one of the other characters were traveling together to like get to session 0 basically. And so we just did like a little flavor session with the two of them. And they like one night when they were camping, they were in the woods and they got attacked by a handful of gnolls. And all 3 of us did not roll in the double digits for the entire fight.
Oh my god. I've seen that level of cursed luck before, but that's just...
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, but I also know that was the most fun you've ever had.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
it was so funny. Oh my god.
We were
it
laughing
was so
so
good.
hard.
It was so good.
We had to create mushroom alcohol as the excuse for why the gnolls were doing so badly.
Oh no! A handful of gnolls, not Hansel and Knowles.
Oh.
However, okay, that is now that's now an enemy camp. Small German child who leads a gnoll back. Oh yes. To be fair, gnolls eat everything, so this is his payback. He's just going around eating hags.
Wow. So we've got weaponized Hansel in the forest?
Yup. They ate my sister. I'll eat them all.
I now really want to play around with that idea and just have a horrified, half monstrous, like hexblade Hansel walking around. His packed weapon is like literally an axe he carved out of like the bone of the hag that killed his sister. And he's just wandering a forest looking for hags. And if you're magical, he just instantly wants to kill you.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yes! There's another short, baby. Ah!
We can make it a bone cleaver.
We need to write these things down and turn
Oh,
them
I did.
into little
I have a
inventions.
note
Yeah.
to save this right now. I'm also gonna make the missile foe at some point.
Oh, oh my god. Tell them about the missile foe.
Okay, so someone posted this thing like, "Yo, why do you have to kiss someone under the mistletoe? What if we change it so that whenever 2 people encounter one another underneath a mistletoe, they have to fight?" And then missile foe, and I was like, "Yo, we could have. It's a new holiday, and I've been doing a lot of thinking on this, where basically you make it so that it's celebrated in the forest once a year during the holidays, but it's got to be like either a Feywild forest or specifically something related to Krampus, because that's kind of his shtick. Like
Mhm.
It's damaging, but like, you don't have to die from it. You're just gonna be probably it's going to scar you. So like that's his thing. And my idea was like there's mistletoes like hidden in the trees. And then I've been thinking about this. I think the trees have to be alive. Like they have to be
Yeah, they
tree
should be
ants or
trends.
something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're hiding the mistletoe somewhere on them, and they're trading it between themselves, and you have to make it through this maze of a forest kind of deal. And if you do whatever, if you fail the DC and like your characters can't find the mistletoe and they walk under one of the trees that has it, they hear a bell just rings out in the forest, like, ding, 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 and then your DM rolls on a table of random forest inhabitants, and you have to fight one of them until one of you
Yep.
goes down.
Yep. And it's
And this
A
is the
bear
festival.
shows up.
Yeah.
yep. And it's like a gauntlet. Like you're running from one end of the forest, like praying to God that you don't hear that bell.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea where those mistletoes are.
Good old missile foes. As the ends just pass it around. Just
Yep.
I'm imagining the person who keeps getting chained of events, like chained encounters, just like I'm screwed. I'm cursed.
Yep.
Why do you
It's
hate
one of
me?
those-
I came here to celebrate.
It would be no. It would be one of those things of like, once a year, like a few of the like prisoners, in the city get released, and if they survive the missile foe gauntlet, they get to go.
Oh, they get their
my
freedom?
God.
Yep.
It's like, hey,
Yep.
you won the lottery. You get to fight for your freedom via. That's the campaign.
Yep.
That's the adventure hook. Each one of your players is a prisoner.
Yep. That's how they bond. That's how they get through.
If
That's where
they
you start.
survive, they all get freedom. Everyone that survives gets set free.
Oh my
But like
God.
one of the fey creatures, like while they're fighting, like whispers like a secret or a quest hook to them,
Oh.
and like that's their first thing once they get out.
Oh my God.
Oh, yes.
This is why everyone comes to Roundtable, okay?
This is truly why they come. This is truly why they show up. We get sidetracked and give them nothing but flavor.
Love it.
I
missed you
That's good
guys.
stuff. I missed you guys.
This
We were
is
talking
my
about that at the
favorite
beginning.
part
We
of
were
the
like,
week.
it feels so weird that we didn't meet last week.
Mhm.
It's-
I sat at my computer at like 6:50, like 7:55, and I was like, "Oh wait, I don't think we have any." I was like, "Great, it's Christmas this week."
I was like, why am I sad? Oh, right.
Right? Yeah, like,
Hmm.
but we're back.
Yeah.
We were talking about it. We've been doing this for 9 months. We have carried a DM Roundtable baby.
It's a term.
And it's gonna be a New Year's baby. This poor thing is never gonna have a birthday.
Oh,
Never. Never. It's okay though. We still love it.
Oh, that's
Still
great.
love it.
Gretel has become a hag. I love that. Oh, man.
Ooh.
Oh,
But Hansel doesn't know that.
yeah. He's trying
Yeah.
to kill her. And then finally
That's
she'll
like
be like,
the
brother.
third season twist. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he starts fighting reanimated hags and he doesn't know why, and it's because Gretel became a hag, and in turn, the hag that killed Gretel, that Hansel killed, became her patron. So she's now creating necromantic hags
Whoa.
as she becomes absorbed by the original hag. Boom. Now you've got story hook. This is why people
It's true.
should tune in every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time,
It's true.
and listen to us, because we have nothing but ideas. This is the stuff I come up with just sitting on this call with you guys. It's just. So thank you.
Everyone should have a round table of DMs to talk to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seriously. And we love getting the flavor and ideas and hooks from the people in the chat. Like Ewas has come up with some great stuff.
There is some sauce in there that I appreciate.
Yeah.
Like, so, you know, everyone that tunes in, feel free to chime in, ask questions.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
get out your ideas. If you haven't already done it, join the Patreon at the free tier. It is a thing you can do. It just keeps you posted on what's going on. Gives you info about the Discord, where you can join the Tabletop Schmabletop section. The Okamigakure, and drop questions. Okami's in there. I pop in there. We can forward all questions to Celestial, being known as DM Lacara.
Sentient force of nature comes in on Mondays.
Like DM Lacara is literally the swamp thing of the round table. She exists at all times, but simultaneously only appears in defense of D&D and can be summoned to the round table.
They don't stream this part, but they have to do a ceremony to summon me before they go live.
Every time. We're actually warlocks and we're patrons of Lacara. we actually have to use a wish spell every week to get her to show up. No. But if you haven't, check out all the cool stuff. There is a ton of cool merch out there that DM Lacara crafts.
Is it time for reveal? I think it is.
You know what? I think it is a good time.
I'm gonna hit the subscribe button as we start this.
Yeah. Hit the button, people.
It hasn't changed, and it never will. Hit the buttons. DM Lacara, what buttons can they hit?
All the buttons. If you see a button and it is on a Okami's page, just start pressing it wildly.
I love that we've evolved to just don't rapid fire the buttons.
But in all seriousness, if you have money, hit the buttons that give Okami money. He has Patreon, he has YouTube subscriptions, he's got Twitch subscriptions, he has... I don't even know what these newfangled things are the kids are clicking these days, but hit them. If you don't have money, but wish you did, then just go click the buttons to subscribe, share, all that good stuff so that we can spread like a twisted disease.
Yes.
Let us be your contagion.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. And also, hey, even if you're like, if you want to leave comments and tell us about other magazines, like I just learned that there was Dragon Magazine back in the day, which was like I don't know if it was weekly or monthly, but it's basically a supplement that came out in magazine format for Dungeons and Dragons. And I just learned the other day from somebody's YouTube comment that there was a version of the magazine that came out in Brazil. And it is not just a translation, it's a totally different magazine. And I was like, what? I didn't know that. There's so much content out there. We want to learn all about it. Speaking of so much content, though, I think you're going to have to take this one away, DM Lacara, because this is all your work. We have a collection.
We have started to branch out a little bit in the DM Roundtable Redbubble store into just generic class goofiness. So there are now items for every one of the 10 standard D&D classes. So you want to click around and show some of them off, Okami?
I'm gonna open all of them.
Yes.
Every single one. Oh, I probably should have done design. Whatever. Stickers is fine because you can see the whole thing. Boom.
Yep. We got everything, and I wrote something snarky for every one of them. This one is my personal favorite. The cleric, the backup when I have a great idea was an overstatement.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Also, this one face, like the dude who's dead in the very front, is I can't think of. He's what is the name of the guy that hangs out with Mob? Reagan. Like that is Reagan.
Oh,
I
my
just
God.
imagine it being Reagan.
I was thinking Laios from Dungeon Meshi.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Mm.
That's a good one too. Next one might be my favorite.
Which one are you doing next?
The Warlock. It might be my favorite.
Yeah, Okami lost his mind when I sent him the design for this one.
Oh, I am excited. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, I've already fallen in love. I need the cleric by itself, but
It's a Warlock. He's a drama llama.
Oh no, we're losing you to the noise gate.
I'm screeching. I am
So
I'm
good.
sorry. I think I hit an inaudible screech. Oh, I
Drama and drama.
am in love with the Warlock.
When
And
DM
as Okami.
when DM
Yeah, go for
Lacara
it.
sent this to me, I like looked at it and I was like, "Oh man, you have like the bishy hairstyle. This guy's been through some stuff." And then I looked at another window, and then I legitimately whipped my head back and went, "Wait a minute, is that a drama llama?"
I was like, oh, I was so happy you got that.
It's absolutely a drama llama. But it's literally, you know, this thing has a bard in its ear playing the cure. You know that this is literally the saddest llama.
Yep.
Just the tragic hero background. Just
Yep.
it's the only background it can have.
There is a feat in the repository. I think it's called Last One Left, or like the one who remains. And it's a feat that you get if you watch your whole party die and you're the only one that lives.
Oh my god. This llama has that feat.
Oh, 100%. 100%. The next one, though? Oh, sorry, I cut you off before. What were you going to say?
Who'd you cut off?
I cut off you.
Oh no, I was gonna talk about the drama llama.
Oh.
That you were doing it. So.
It made me so happy. Sorcerer's also pretty freaking good, because this is like one of my Valivagiria's character. Like, this is her whole family in a nutshell.
I'm just imagining that's what her whole family's been turned into. A collection of llamas.
No, the sorcerer one's different.
Do go on about your spell
Oh, it
book.
just updated for me. Oh.
I want to get stickers of this so that I can hand them to a sorcerer at the table when a wizard joins the table, and they can like stick it on their forehead, just like.
Just tell me all about how you copied your spell.
Tell me all about your reading. Yes.
Oh, you studied magic? How's that working out?
I breathe it, but to each their own.
Next up, we got bards. This was a very inspired design, DM Lacara.
Thank you.
I like this. Poor glass-jawed people. It's bad when everyone's a glass cannon, though, except the barbarian.
Yeah. They can only be in so many places at once.
And do be aware
Silver tongue.
that I'm just showing the stickers because that's the first thing that came up. But the cool thing about Redbubble is you make the design, you could put it on anything. So like the next one, Rogues, is popping up on a face mask. Usually it pops up on a spiral notebook, and I'm thinking, hey, if you are playing one of these classes in one of your games, you can get that design on a spiral notebook to be your notebook for the campaign. Like, that's fantastic. I didn't even know spiral notebooks were an option.
That
So our hardcover.
you have options, aka there's no reason you should not have us at your next table.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's true.
The Rogue one, I think, has gotten the most love so far of all the designs that have been uploaded.
It's mine. It's mine now.
It's right to the point.
I love this.
Fighter, like, at first when you were like, I don't know if people are gonna get it, I'm like, I feel like if they don't get it, it's gonna be like a cascade at the table where someone's like, yo, it's a sword. And then the other person's gonna be like, oh my god, it's a sword. And the next person's gonna be like, oh my god, it's a sword! It's a sword. DM Lacara is out there playing 4D chess with these designs.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot of fun. Actually, the text for the fighter one is not my work. That is the work of our bard.
Oh!
Ooh.
Who is an arcane archer in our last campaign, so he was channeling that fighting spirit.
Oh.
That's a dope archetype to take too.
Yeah.
You don't hear many people talk about the arcane archer.
He was insane with it too because he also took the sharpshooter feat.
Ah, so good.
So he literally, unless he rolled a 1, it was impossible for him to miss anything, basically.
Someone give that bard a high five. On my behalf, please. Someone please high five the bard.
He was shooting people from like a half mile away with a longbow. It was like, oh, did I roll a 1? Oh, that's fine. I'll just take the hit on that and then redirect it to a different enemy and hit them instead.
It's like that 1. It's not really a 1. But thank you.
Yeah.
Here's a I'm like, what do you mean it's not really a 1?
We, in the last combat we were in, our ranger, that's Jack DT's Goblin Slayer, has sharpshooter feat, and the other players were like, well, can you hit them? Can you hit them? And I was like, he can shoot off into the ocean. He has sharpshooter, it don't matter. There's no way, I can't make a map long enough that he can't hit people on. My table isn't long enough.
It's hard to explain. It's hard to explain to someone the idea of range when sharpshooter gets involved too, because it's like, listen, they officially have violated the idea of too far. Like they just shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, at a certain point, range does not matter.
Yeah. What are they aiming for? It doesn't matter what they're aiming for. They hit it.
Yeah.
Speaking of hitting the bullseye, this next one's for you, DM Shin.
Oh.
We got the druid. This is just for you. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be White Jesus, but...
Yeah, I don't know why White Jesus came up when I asked for a robed figure talking to a plant.
It's okay. Because I love it regardless. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. It's the truth about druids. But that's how you should be. You should be a barefoot half Jesus. Just be spoken to by plants in your campaign when you run a druid. This is how I want my druids.
I was channeling you when I made this design.
I appreciate this because this is accurate. This is exactly how I want all druids to be depicted. I'll accept no other version of the druid.
I think the next one was the first design you made for this series? Question mark? The wizard? I think the wizard was the first one, right?
The wizard was the first, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realized after the fact that I didn't actually write wizard on this one. I think all the other ones have like the class written on it somewhere. I may have to fix that at some point.
I think it's beautiful. Speaking of Fireball. Yeah.
Beards, brains, and boom brigade. This is honestly the life you live as a wizard. And quite honestly, the fact that they didn't need to have a book involved, even better.
I also feel like I want to use this design like on armor for some band of, I guess they could be wizards, but I'm thinking it's the people who protect said wizards probably have this. Like this is their country's symbol or something.
Yeah.
It's perfect. Perfect.
I was in the middle of one of the wizard-centric Discworld books while I was brainstorming this one, so I was channeling that pretty hard.
I love that. But next up, we've got Barbarian. I didn't do them. They actually weren't arranged in alphabetical order, so I don't feel bad that I didn't show them in alphabetical order. But I'm 100% going to give this to our Barbarian. Oh, I didn't say. Okay, both the Barbarians. All three of the Barbarians I hang out with. Yes. Yes.
You know a lot of barbarians.
I do.
Yeah, you've clearly been around too many barbarians.
I know one.
I love that the Barbarian in your game's first name is Barge, because he just barges into things, and it's amazing. It's just fantastic. His last name, Stubtoe.
Yeah.
Barge Stubtoe? I know there's a story.
Our barbarian is a D&D player's D&D player. He has that perfect blend of goofy and funny and not taking it seriously, but also doing his job in the party. That is just working with that as a DM is just flawless. It's wonderful.
Love it. And finally, to round it out, we've got the Paladins.
Oh my god, this one took me freaking forever.
Wait, I'm gonna make this. There, okay, now it'll fit. I was like, it doesn't fit. Why doesn't it fit? Oh, wait. Okay, now it'll fit. Ha ha!
There we go.
Nothing is more paladin. Like, first off, love that it's gods and glaives, and like that the iconography is exactly what I imagine when I think of like paladins have always been super clerics in my eyes, and this right here is exactly what, like, this is what I imagine if they had a tattoo it would be of.
Ooh. That's fantastic.
Yep.
And not one of the stupid tattoos that comes out of stupid needles. Stupid finally add tattoos to the game that lets you cast spells and stuff, and it's inside the needle and you press it to your skin and it slides onto your skin and then you suck it back out. Stupid.
Yeah.
Just get a tattoo. Stupid. Hate it.
Yes, it is a double-bladed glaive because it took me freaking forever to find or to create a glaive that actually looked like a glaive. And I finally actually found one that was like free and no attribution needed and everything. So that was the one I went with because that was what I had.
Listen, no complaints here.
I was gonna say it's like a naginata kind of deal, but this is probably based on a Chinese one, not a Japanese one. For some reason, I'm
Oh.
thinking Lubu, and I think that's just because Lubu is the strongest
The
Chinese
default.
fighter ever.
He's the default.
Yeah, he's the default. I'm gonna kill you, Chinese guy.
Yeah, pole arms are not my area of expertise, so I was like, labeled a glaive, looks like a glaive, going in the design.
It's okay. We can't. It's okay. I think quite honestly, the fact that we now have this super cool merch up, like
That's so freaking cool.
now you can truly be a player of all classes.
You can.
Mhm.
And the
With
cool
your
thing
own-
is, they're
Right.
all in their own collection, so you could just go look at all of them, all at once.
Crying.
I
So
don't
nice.
know why that makes you so emotional. You hit like 2 buttons to make a collection.
But it's so cute. It's our collection. It's so nice. And don't forget Accidental
Oh.
Necromancer. I don't know if we shared that one yet, but Accidental Necromancer is up there too.
Oh yeah. I love
Oh,
that
that's
one.
true.
That's one of my favorites.
Oh,
Nothing quite gets people like accidental necromancy.
whoops. I was about to say this is Steve. No, we already have a Steve. This is Bob. Yeah.
He's
Go
my
check out the
zombie. He
Redbubble
says
shop.
I created him. I don't know.
Listen, sometimes you're standing around and it's just like, oh, hey man, you're back, like from the dead. That's crazy. Hey, how you holding up?
How you holding up and like one of his fingers falls off?
Yeah.
Oh, that we can. Think we can get that patched up for you, pal. That
We'll work on that, bud.
we get that worked on. I think, right?
But yeah.
Yeah, I think we need like a story hook where somebody accidentally raises like a friend or a recently deceased party member or something. And then they just have to go from there.
Yes. Yes.
It's like you accidentally resurrected your old teammate.
Yeah, and it's
And go.
and go. You don't know if that's really them. You don't know what's happening to magic. That whatever you did turned into necromancy. You don't know. Like there's a lot
Like,
of directions
so a
that could
lot-
go wrong.
I've
it's
got
like
it.
a lot happened, and you're the epicenter of most of it.
Got it. Based on what we were talking about before, we were discussing how exhaustion works, rules as written, and how you don't really want someone whose brain is not all there to be poking at the weave. Whoops! I stayed awake for 5 days and I brought my best friend back to life. Oops! Or did I? I don't know.
Yeah.
This is not an oopsie moment. This is where I, as the player in the party, go, what do you mean, oops?
Wait a minute, Awaz, did you just make up a light novel? I accidentally raised my friend and now he's a Death Knight. Oh, it's fantastic. Yes, please go look at the Redbubble shop. You can get cool merch, and we'll get some honey so that we can make more streams and we can do more stuff. And I'm sorry to those of you on Twitch that I have not made the banner button for Redbubble yet. That is on my list of things to do. But you can find it by searching DM Roundtable and go into Redbubble, or you can go on the YouTube, and there's always a link in the description.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, that's too many. 54 is my limit for hours being awake. Oh. I can't imagine.
Yeah,
I didn't function after I like dead to the world.
yeah,
After that.
you're not allowed to live at that point, quite honestly. You're just
That's not good. For those of you who are watching whenever this becomes a short, or rather a clip, you're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?" You missed the chat, man.
Tune in live next time.
Yeah.
I know why Okami was up for 54 hours. Pepper Farm wants to know.
Pepper Farm remembers. Speaking of things that'll mess up your health, these guys. That was a terrible segue. I could have. I'm gone now.
You could have said,
I was
speaking
gonna
of
say,
things that don't need to sleep.
Ah, that's true. They are constructs.
rough-
Damn it. That was
That
rough.
was a rough one, Okami. That was, oof.
Oh no. I'm
Ooh,
losing
good
it.
Lord.
It's alright. It's almost the end of the year. You get a new quota of jokes in January.
True.
Ooh.
It's true. You literally only have another like 24 hours of jokes. 2025, you get a whole new slew of them.
I'm gonna work on them. Woo-wee.
But
yeah, you have your hit points and your AC based on the gist is based on the creature's CR, which again super helpful just to have a thing like, oh, I need my creature to be in this bracket. Boom, I've got stats that I can just plug and play. Please make plugging and playing easy. I understand it would be cumbersome to do it for every creature, but like DM Lacara suggested earlier, it could be like, oh, here's a gist. And I know there's based on creature size, you go with their hit dice, so that's there already. But like the size of the hit dice, not how many. You could give us a basic gist of like, hey, this is what it should be in. Like this. This
have
is
fun
super
with
helpful. Yeah. Then you have your attributes, which is nice. I have been noticing a lot more often. Normally, you don't necessarily have to know exactly what the stat is. You only need the modifiers. I've been seeing a lot more stat blocks from homebrew lately that don't give the attribute numbers and only give the modifiers if they're like out of the ordinary. And I guess that's a way to save space, but it's cool that everything's just here. Thanks.
yeah, I much prefer that. Just give me everything all at once.
Yep. And the chart that is knocked off the page, remember you can go, if you're looking at old homebrewery stuff from before they changed their formatting, you can always go to source and then view, which is what we did here. And this just gives you the spell save DC. So you're looking at between 12 and 19 based on whatever bracket of CR that creature's in. Which isn't bad. Their AC, if you want to make things easy, what a lot of people do, I think Clubs was the first one to mention this to me as a DM, where like when you make an encounter, to make it easier for yourself, just set everything in that encounter to a certain number. So like, oh, this creature has spell save DC of 18, it has AC of 18, like that kind of thing. So you could do that as well. Doesn't necessarily have to be that their AC and their spell save DC are different. You could make it a little easier for yourself.
It will save you a lot of time. It'll give you more than you expect in terms of freedom to work with in that battle, because now you have a kind of like a parameter that you never have to worry about ever again, or that you can just play around with. Where if you want to say everything's 18 except this one guy.
Yeah. Probably don't sleep a lot in the military. But yeah, now we come down to actions. So again, this is you had mentioned flamethrowers specifically before. They're here, but it's plug and play. So whatever you think your creature should have, boom, throw it in there, and you can have it. Earlier on the charts, they had said like, oh, you can have a whole bunch of different actions, and we'll get to multi-attack versus multi-action in a second. But like, we'll just go down the list. Generally speaking, all big creatures, just as a generic thing, have slam, which is just, I'm gonna hit you. You just expect them to
Literally.
I'm gonna hit you. I think that, especially me, when I started running games, when I would read slam, I assumed it was like Hulk smashing Loki, like puny god, in my head every time I read slam. But then I was like, oh no, it's like a punch or a kick. It's just bludgeoning damage. I mean, you could flavor it as puny god, but you don't have to. It's supposed to be just a generic placeholder for big thing, hit thing.
Yeah. Quite literally.
You have so many options here. You got stomp, you got slam, and then there's ranged attacks. There's like catapult, multi-cannon, sonic pulse. You're getting into the sci-fi weeds. I feel like Grimjack just like sat up straight wherever he is at the moment.
He definitely did.
Got flamethrower, but then there's also within actions not attacks. There's buffs and debuffs like warning siren. It emits an extremely loud oscillating sound, so creatures within 30 feet of it have to succeed on a whiz save or be frightened until the end of their next turn, which is cool. Then you have cool stuff in here like paralyzing dart and confusion ray. Love both of these ideas. Just hey, I'm here to mess you up. You could even build like, I'm gonna make a mage hunter from Magic the Gathering, like those weird creepy creatures, like, oh, they're coming in, they're just gonna and like hit all the mages with all the weird stuff. Confuse Ray, I do have a note here where they use charisma to make the saving throw, but your automaton, if you look at the basic stats, has really crappy charisma. Like, it's not looking to interact with humanoids and what have you. I might make that one something. I guess you're persuading them to be confused, but I feel like confusion is more of like I guess if you're affecting their equilibrium or what have you, it would be con or maybe wisdom or intelligence over charisma. I don't know why it's charisma. I don't think confusion is not a charisma save, I'm pretty sure. You know what? I'm going to look it up. I actually just used confusion for the first time.
Could be.
Let me see. What kind of save are you? I'm not looking at the
Wisdom, isn't
new
it?
one. It is wisdom. Yeah. So it's weird that this one is charisma. Because that's like the robot is. The automaton's walking up to you and being like, I'm smarter than you, believe me.
It's literally how I believe that's exactly how they speak too. Just, I have superior intelligence. It's not a joke.
God, now I'm just picturing is the name of the Deep Thought, was it? The computer in Hitchhiker's Guide. I came up with 42.
Oh.
It just says 42 and people are like, wait, what? And that's the confuse.
The answer to all life, yes, is 42. Huh?
I don't have a note for this, but reading Barrier again annoys me because Barrier is, in this case, it builds a magical barrier around itself to give it temp HP. I would make the barrier raise your AC, but that's just me. Again, you could do whatever you want. It's plug and play, but you're the DM. Do whatever you want.
Yeah,
Well, I guess that makes sense. You have to break the barrier down before you start hitting it.
Or you can even do like if this particular, later on they're going to talk about like why you would build an automaton. If you're in a particular arena that's specifically made for this guy, You make it a puzzle. Like, oh, this barrier kicks in. It's almost a lair action sort of deal. So it kicks in on initiative count 20, losing ties. And this guy gets a barrier, and now he can't be hurt, or it only it gives him immunity to certain damage types, and you have to find like the emitters within the arena to break them. Like hitting his barrier doesn't do anything, but you can break the emitters and then shatter that forever. Like, there's so many ideas built into also stuff that's here. It's so nice. You can throw a grenade. But now we come to multi-attack versus multi-action. Basically, this is just saying, hey, multi-attack is you do your attack multiple times, but multi-action is instead, hey, I'm going to hit you, but I'll also probably do something else. So like you could maybe go for it.
It's a distinction. I was gonna say it's a distinction that you don't think about sometimes. But it's kind of like when it's something that you do encounter with a lot of first-time players, and explaining to them that casting a spell is their action, which is also an attack, which is like an attack. And so you're out of things you can do now. They always kind of look at you like, what do you mean I'm out of things I can do? I didn't do everything I can do. It's like, well, you did temporarily. There's nothing left for you to do in this situation. This kind of saying to you, hey, multi-attack is allowing you to swing your weapon multiple times. Multi-action is giving you this grenade and flamethrower. You need that. You definitely need that, especially with these automatons having what look like I feel like Grimjack is going to watch this VOD and just message you viciously.
I keep telling him, like, we're going through, this is literally a supplement you picked out. And I know that he didn't read the whole thing. I know. But, like, this is for him, basically. It's everything he's ever wanted.
It's all he's ever wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get copyright struck.
And
for our terrible rendition.
Like you said, grenade and flamethrower, I'm thinking almost based on what Seers had said earlier. Like, hey, what if that's your automaton shtick? Like, one arm lobs grenades, but they're not just any grenade. They coat you in a flammable material. Now you take double damage from fire. So it throws a grenade and then flamethrowers. Like, you can build so much stuff out of multi-action. I'm not telling you how to kill your party. I'm just saying it might happen.
No, kill your party. They'll be okay. Builds character.
Yeah, multiple.
It builds character sheets. I have a note for Psychic Shield, but I don't know why. Give me one sec. What is my note? I guess this also implies that it can do psychic things, so it can take psychic damage, because we saw before that it didn't have immunity to psychic damage. Oh, sorry, psychic shock. Okay, focuses at the neural network. We'll just ignore that. You have to make an intelligence saving throw. I guess that makes sense. And if not, you take psychic damage. It's based on your level, which is odd. I guess they're trying to say... That's true. I should send it in a Warframe title, and then Grimbo will read it. But I guess they're trying to say, like, your characters learned this much in their leveling. But I feel like it should be based on the automaton CR, not your creature's level.
Yeah, that's a strange one.
this is the one that everyone was talking about. Well, they had mentioned at the top, and by everyone, I mean I have a note for this. But compaction is the automaton compacts its body and folds in on itself, and it repairs itself and regains HP. And like, it's such a cool idea, and if you tell people about it, I think, like, as a DM, when you're describing it happen, like this huge robot just and like folds itself into space and then rebuilds itself. Like, there's so many ways you could describe that where it sounds so cool, and it's also terrifying because it's like when you're playing a JRPG and you think you beat this guy, and it's not even changing phases. It's just like whoop, 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 and its health goes back up, and you're like, no, 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 no.
Well, I was thinking, like, somebody is fighting something and then it folds in on itself. Like, you have no idea what it's going to do. You don't know if it's going to bust out in a new form. You don't know if it's going to explode. You don't know, like, what's going to happen next. So I think that's pretty cool and very inspiring.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. I think next up we come to my next note. I didn't see. I'm assuming arcane. So there's arcane spell up here, which is the recharge 5 to 6, which is basically it just uses a spell. But then like a dragon's breath or something, it's got to recharge, so you can't just keep using that spell every turn. Because chances are you're gonna pick a pretty powerful spell. Like you don't want that guy to lightning
Most
bolt
likely.
every turn. We come over to passive abilities. These are broken down into traversal, offensive, and defensive. So that's going to be sort of kind of a theme later with offensive versus defensive. But passives are super. You don't, when you play D&D or other TTRPGs, you're not thinking about, oh, this is a passive. Though, like auras and stuff for paladins, my players constantly are arguing like, oh, when does my aura work? Blah, 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 blah. And amongst themselves, they're like, no, that's your passive, man. It's just on. It's just on all the time. But when you're looking at a stat block, you don't necessarily look for passive. I think it would be easier to read for people coming from video games to TTRPGs if they did write passive for some ability that's just always on. But maybe if you were starting at TTRPGs, it wouldn't make sense. I don't know. To me, passives make sense because I'm so used to playing video games. Yep, you have a jetpack. I feel like I don't have to explain jetpack. Your robot has a jetpack.
No, I think you should explain jetpack. No.
Drilling is cool. You can transform into like drill bits for arms. I like that idea. Most people don't think of burrowing speed. Like they almost never, it never comes up. And if there is, it's always very slow as compared to the other kinds of things. I do like that there's jetpack in here, which you could flavor any way you want, but specifically Adventurous Gurr came up with gyrocopter. So you have propeller blades, and if you fall below half of your points, your propellers break. I just think that's so funny. This death-dealing super machine. You break his little propeller hat, and he comes crashing down.
I mean, it's a lesson. It's a valued lesson.
It's so funny. Especially if you want to do if you want to do like it's a huge one and you break the propellers and it falls down and it's coming down onto your players, like, oh, that would be amazing.
I just want to point out, folks, that the Roundtable is not only looking for ways to kill you.
I just think that's so funny. Yeah, he's coming down here.
Back that up with anything?
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
No, just gonna leave it like that.
The melee fighters can finally hit him. Wait a minute. Whoa. I think he's gonna. Oh no. You have offensive abilities. Some of these are super cool in just any kind of way. Like spinning blades, awesome, love it. If you walk past it, you gotta dodge the blades. Electrified plating, I think you could make this any element. Doesn't necessarily have to be electrified. But if someone hits you, they get hit too. A lot of creatures have that. Offensive drone hanger. So there's two ideas in here. There's an offensive drone and a defensive drone. Love them. There are stats for them later on. Just love the idea of your boss robot pumping out minions to fill the arena with. So nice. And then obviously
Terrifying.
I love it.
Yeah. Obviously it has to have self-destruct. Like, come on. Why are we building robots if they're not going to blow up?
True.
I think the reinforced plating is a neat idea, but if you'd already changed the way the barrier worked before, you don't necessarily have to do this. But sorry, I cut you off. What were you going to say?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I wasn't going to say anything. I was simply agreeing. No, keep going.
Okay.
I
Arcane barrier. No, sorry. What do I have? I have arcane countermeasures, which must be later. I don't remember coming across that yet. But oh yeah, I do know that it's yeah. Arcane barrier, spell attacks against it have disadvantage, and it has advantage on saving throws. So cool. Defensive drone hanger and defensive teleport are pretty sweet.
These two by themselves put you in a realm of, am I still playing low fantasy D&D?
Yeah.
Yeah, once you're up to defensive drone hanger, I feel like you've kind of crossed the line.
Yeah, now we're in Grimjack D&D.
Unless like your automaton is made out of wood and its drone hangers are like it's shooting like it shoots wasps. Like those are its drones. Because you can flavor it any way you want.
No, you know what it would be? Tiny mechanical carpenter bees.
Oh yes! Yes! Oh, this is fantastic. Oh.
Yes.
I said wood specifically because the stupid clip keeps coming up over and over again on my YouTube recommended of when the doctor's on Trenzalore and that wooden Cyberman comes up. And the doctor gets this wooden Cyberman to shoot itself in the chest. It just keeps coming up. I'm like, I've watched the same clip like 50 times. How many people uploaded this one clip?
A lot. It's a very beloved clip.
And then this is playtest material because there's only so many automatons you can run in one game before your players are like, hey, can we do something else? So, hey, if it's not right, edit them however you see fit. You see fit. Now we come down to offensive and defensive drones. Supposed to be small, but you can make them whatever size you want. Doesn't really matter. The offensive drone, the ability that you really want to just take out of it is that it can mark someone, and then it has advantage on all of them. It's basically like Hunter's Mark, but when it marks someone, there's interactions that you can make, like, oh, this drone's marking targets out in the field. Like, oh, you can say, hey, I'm sending out my drones. They're making sure that all the ranged attackers are marked so that you know that the actual robot is going to go after them. Like, so if you break them, it'll mess up its targeting system, basically. I think that's a neat idea. They don't do a lot of damage either. So they're just there to be annoying, really. And take up space in the arena, because you got to have minions. Because remember, it's going to be 4 or 5 of your people against one dude. So without legendary actions, which you could totally give this guy plenty of legendary actions if you wanted to. Like, they're only getting 1 turn compared to all your players going. And defensive drone screeches and like knocks people off balance. Like, ah, ha, ha! I mean, it's probably more of a like a squee. I don't think it's maniacal laughter, but you could make it maniacal laughter. It's up to you. You're the DM.
There's only a few sounds that like really strike hard into people. A machine laughing is one of them.
I definitely think a machine laughing is up there.
A child laughing that you cannot see is another one.
Disembodied children also high up there. Yeah. Yeah, not a fan of the disembodied child maneuver.
Yeah.
I like this. What if each of the drones lets out a child's laugh? Welcome to hell.
How about no?
Have you guys ever heard a peacock crying?
No.
So when I was a kid, I had a friend that lived on a farm. And we had stayed up late and we're sitting outside in her yard in like the wee hours of the morning because we were teenage girls. I mean, what else were you gonna do on a farm? And we were sitting there. I believe we were talking about ghost stories, and all of a sudden there's a rustle in the bushes next to us, and then the sound of a baby crying.
Oh,
like
no.
Absolutely distinctly infant sobbing sounds.
Oh no. Oh no.
I don't think any of our feet hit the ground until we were upstairs in her room.
Oh my
And
God.
the next morning we were like, Mom, what was that? We were still freaking out the next day, and her mom laughed her butt off at us and was like, yeah, that's the sound a peacock makes.
Okay, this leads me to another important question. Did that farm have peacocks on it?
Yes, it did have a peacock.
What?
I want to know, Okami, what universe do peacocks just apparate?
I was like, I don't even know what
putting a
peacocks
campaign
are
there.
native to, but I don't think it's where we are.
If you do that, though, DM Lacara, you need to have the peacock owned by a small bard who only wears a certain color and sings a song when peacocks cry.
This actually sounds like our current campaign.
When I accidentally bring up things that are currently happening in a campaign somewhere.
They can't. The party just got rid of their pet bird. It wasn't a peacock. That was the only part of this that did not match.
True.
Need to give him a peacock.
Oh God, don't push it. These guys are so adoption agency.
Oh yeah. If you say that, we will try.
I believe it. I don't want you guys to acquire a peacock through normal means.
They didn't get the chicken through normal means.
It
was a dude.
Won't get the peacock through normal means either. I know that they will find the most convoluted way to acquire it.
Did I tell you? They spent like an hour and a half of the last session buying 50 pounds of suet at Fantasy Tractor Supply and deciding whether or not they were going to make a bird army.
I'm not gonna lie. I came up with the idea, but I think our wizard wanted it to happen way more than me.
Oh yeah.
I'm more flabbergasted by the idea that you felt the competition between the two of you to see who was more determined to acquire.
We every time at the end we were like, I guess we're not doing this. I'm putting this suet away. Our wizard would be like, oh, but so we don't want to try on just a smaller number of birds?
We literally had to decide who was carrying how much suet and how much it would cost. I'm like, there is no DM table anywhere that has suet by the pound that I can work this out on.
Suet by the pound is a term I never wanted to hear.
In D&D or just generally?
I didn't expect to hear it in D&D. Let's just start there. That's suet per pound is preposterous. You guys are absolutely unstoppable. and the worst of it all is that I support it 1000% because it's done within the context of the table. This is why you need to play D&D. This is the fun you're
You
gonna have.
never know when you're gonna have to create an NPC that's the shopkeeper of Fantasy Tractor Supply.
You really don't. You truly have no idea when the universe is gonna be like Fantasy Tractor Supply.
But we embrace it.
Oh, we have to. No,
here's
to. It's the only way.
Here's finally arcane countermeasure. Speaking of embracing it, this is just the next line in my notes. Is arcane countermeasure is diabolical, all caps.
Just like that, huh?
Because when a creature casts a spell within 30 feet of the automaton can use its reaction to shoot an electrified dart at the caster. If the dart connects, it stuns the caster, and their spell fails. Can you imagine how mad that player is gonna be?
I think I would just be like, you won.
All these are pretty simple-ish. Damage nullification is on a recharge because you just choose not to take damage. And if the thing did that every time, I would punch the DM in the face. So I'm glad that's on a recharge.
It's fair. It's very fair.
The reason why, well, it's weird that it said before this guy has resistance to thunder. It should technically be lightning because one of his reactions is just it absorbs the lightning and then it can hit you with it next time, which is something I love. I love the absorb elements type deal. And then like I'm using that. Like I in my campaign for the spell scars, a lot of them have some ability where canonically a spell scar usually gets something that's either reality warping if they get a superpower, or it has something to do with fire. And so I have a character who basically whatever non-bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing she takes, she can absorb as her reaction, and then she channels it out through her fists or her feet, whatever she's going to hit somebody with next. And like, I just love that idea. Just like, and then you hit someone with what they tried to give you.
I feel like it should be not, what's the opposite of resistance? Vulnerable? It should have vulnerability to electricity, shouldn't it?
Oh,
I think there should be some level of vulnerability.
that makes sense, and that's why just this one time it can absorb it. Like it has like a lightning rod on it, so it'll take the lightning will come right to it, but sometimes it hurts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. It acts like a lightning rod, like it always takes it, but whether it can handle it or not, like it gets a roll.
Or even like excuse me, like the Nilbog stats is like the first time it takes damage per turn, it can just choose not to take that damage and it heals itself, whatever damage it was supposed to take. And like my players still To this day, we've been playing for 4 years. They ran into a Nilbog in like session 3, and they meet Nilbogs all the time. They cannot work out that it is a reaction. It can only do it once per turn. They're like, oh, no, he's just invincible. We just can't hurt him. We got to hurt him twice in one go. And I'm like, huh?
Oh dear.
Okay, yeah, we're going to keep going with that. That's fine. Everything's fine.
Oh dear.
In my notes, I have circuit overload and damage nullification are going to be the moments that your players will never forget.
Yes.
Like, oh, we're going to win. We got this. We can do it. And then they do it, and the robot's like, this goes back to you. Like, oh, so nice. So they'll never forget that. We worked so hard to get this far. And there's tactical
Those
templates.
are the moments that you look forward to taking away from your players.
Oh, yeah. You want them to. I want you to remember this. And it's like, it's not even a, I want you to remember it because I'm going to kill you now. Because if when your players win, after that happening to them, they're going to feel even better about it. Like, yo, this guy really, really did a number on us. But we survived. We're the champs. It'll be nice.
Like, we can take on anything, guys. And it's like, good. Feel that way.
Yeah. Keep that going. Keep it going. Speaking of
Keep that
Revel
energy.
in your hubris.
Keep that energy so that when I take it from you, it's more satisfying. When I wrest it from your grip.
Oh my god. We don't hate our players. We just wanna. Oh my god, heat metal. No, not my rope. Not my. That's why I gotta build your robot out of wood. No, then he just burned. Damn it. Oh no. You gotta use damage nullification on heat metal.
No, you build it. You build it out of metal, but you pack it with stone.
Oh.
Heat metal on a robot's not actually going to do much. Like, it's worse for if somebody's holding
Actually,
something
yeah.
with the robot.
You light my robot on fire. It punches you. Now it's
Yeah.
burning.
That's exactly what I was like. Oh no, now you. It's like when you watch a movie and it's a zombie apocalypse movie and they set the zombies on fire and they're like, no, you made it worse. Now they're on fire.
It's like, clearly you did not think of this tactically.
The last thing in here, I think this is the last thing in here. Yeah. The last thing in building your own robot is tactical templates, which we talked about before, which are just like, hey, this is your little robot's AI. Mage Slayer, it goes after the spellcasters first. Please stop doing that. Like, stop shooting me from the back. I'm coming. Take my drones. I'ma confuse you. No more of that. Or single target elimination. Like, it just chooses one person to be like, I really don't like that guy. And it only goes for them.
Like, this guy in particular, there's something about him it's not a fan of.
Weakness exploitation is diabolical. Because you as the DM, you have a basic gist of what your player's stats are. And like, if you know what they're weak against, you go into that with the robot being like, scanning, weakness identified, and you just go right for that every time. Ooh, mean. Just mean.
I'm doing it.
Ooh.
It's not that I won't. It's that I shouldn't.
Probably should be nicer to my players, but no, this robot was meant to destroy them.
Like I always tell my players, I don't need to try to kill them. The game is going to do that for me. I simply need to provide the game with things that can be lethal. Not guaranteed are, but can be lethal.
can be lethal mean. I had to tell this to a player once, and I told him that can be lethal literally means there's a chance you could survive it, but that doesn't mean that surviving it meant fighting it.
Yeah.
And they looked at me, they're like, what do you mean? And I said you can survive. I didn't say you could survive a fight. And
Yeah.
they were not happy with me at all. They were like, how dare you trick me with your double speak.
And sometimes you can't always punch your way through things. I know a lot of us want to, but you can't always do that. Sometimes you just break your hand. Oh, that's a new design. I've never seen it say at mention before. That's helpful, though. I wonder if it does that in your own stream, or does that do that for everyone? I don't know. There's so much I'm learning already.
Things just sneaking in there.
My favorite one on this list, obviously, is template not found. Your automaton just randomly hits whoever's near him.
I think if you're the fledgling automaton creator, this has to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how most of us are running our encounters anyway, okay?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, there's a player and team damage is always a thing. Never forget that. But I will say the last thing that Archibald gave us is something that was referenced early on, and that is the appendix.
Oh, yeah.
Known as the collection of usable objects. I think this, just before you get into what they are, because they are truly things that the game already has in existence. This is honestly just making it sensible and better.
Yeah.
Like, these are items that you already can acquire, but they don't have a real description when you look at them in the PHB even. They're like, you have it. Most times I've let players flavor the way they want to use these things sensibly. This takes all that pain away.
And it's a good way to just get your players to spend money at the higher tiers.
Yeah.
Like, you have so much money at a higher tier in most campaigns, you don't know what to do with it. And for the most part, most people aren't touching Alchemist's Fire or Flasks of Acid or Holy Water or Caltrops past tier 1. There's no reason to do that. But now you have a reason to.
Yeah. This opens up a lot of cool ideas. And I also feel that it gives more power to already existing items that WotC clearly didn't have a purpose for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, these are truly. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say my players have been playing against these two goblin courts. Nope. I'm gonna make words one day. These two goblin carts that I took from Dungeon in a Box. I have a physical model for them. I should have grabbed the physical model before we did this. I didn't think of this until just now, so I didn't grab them. But they have physical 3D models that my creatures I can put the creatures on and stuff. And they're supposed to have thunder throwers in Dungeon in a Box thing, where they have these arcane basically lightning mortars, and
Mm-hmm.
I changed them so that the alchemists and goblins and stuff can just throw potions and stuff in them. So they're like throwing sticky grenades and regular grenades and other stuff in them, and it ups the damage and it spreads them out further. And like that was the best I could do with the starter items. But this is making them more powerful. Like you actually have a reason to.
Yeah. It has a purpose that
Mhm.
isn't just I needed to put it someplace. Because that, I will tell you, is probably the most frustrating thing. And again, like I said, it's things that you know exist, like caltrops.
Mm-hmm.
They gave them just blanket damage. I've tried to use caltrops before, and I've had DMs be like, "Oh, roll a 1d2 because it's an improvised." Or one person once told me, "Oh, it does 1 damage."
Mm.
I was like, "Huh?" It's like caltrops, like 1 each. Do I roll how many they stepped on? They're like, "No, it just does 1 damage." I want to flip the table. This avoids that, thankfully.
I also feel like the way it's written, where whenever you take the damage, your speed's reduced by 10 feet. Does that mean if you have a bunch of characters that have abilities that push people,
Mm-hmm.
that you can
Oh, yes.
just keep shoving people through them? Because I would for sure do that with my teammates. Be like, nah, get back in there. Nah, get back in
Why
there.
wouldn't it? I mean, you're losing 10 feet of movement probably from getting stabbed through the toe. So yeah, why not make it so? But I would say that if you hit 0, you fall and you take damage. You roll a damage
Aw.
dice and you see how much damage you take.
Oof,
Like you
right
would roll
down
a
on them.
d6,
Oh.
and that's how many that person fell on.
Oh.
So at the right level, that's 18 damage for hitting somebody with a strong gust. It's a flavor, okay?
I didn't think of Gus.
I have to do.
Oh, I love that.
I have to punish them. But also things like the flask of acid. A flask of acid should sound scary.
Yeah.
This now flask of acid being 4d6 that you can just projectile at someone, or even just the hunting trap, which is 64 damage.
Big hunting trap.
Your ranger now becomes more deadly when they can set up traps.
Mm-hmm. The hunt, like all of these items are just the basic version exists, and like I've never seen anyone collect their hunt. Like if you start as a ranger with a hunting trap, I've never seen anyone collect their hunting trap. Once it's done, they've used it once. They're like, all right, I'm done. I don't need this anymore. I'll never use it again.
I would honestly, even just using this, create an entire class or subclass for the rogue that is a trapper, and it uses these items in various ways.
Ooh, I like this. Okay, so Monster Hunter crafting, I haven't seen anyone do, but I have seen Heliana's guide and all the books that are related to it. So like Ryoko's guide, anything that has blank and then guide is set up with the same basic rules, where like you can harvest parts and essences from monsters in order to make new items. They also have a thing where like you can harvest the essence from certain monsters and basically create miniature familiars of them, which is kind of cool and Pokemon-y if that's what you want to do.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, do what you want. And again, this is all playtest material. Like, if you're a I have the PDF of. I don't think the physical Ryoko's guide has come yet. That's a good question. I'll double check. I have the PDF though, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'll trade people PDFs for things. Not gonna lie. That's what you want to do. I'm not gonna say no. But again, this playtest material, if you're the DM and you want to add these to your world, go right ahead. If you're a player and you want one of these items, please talk to your DM. Don't just write in like, I have an excellent one. Especially if you're like level 5. Don't do that.
It's not how that works.
But yeah, I think the last thing is
We
the
completed our
changelog.
mission.
We did it.
We did it.
Mission accomplished, folks.
We
We completed
did it!
Archibald to end the year.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, we ended on a series. Oh, we're amazing.
Yeah. You see the stuff you get?
Oh, this is
See what you get.
Now you guys get to vote on what we do for the brand new shiny new year.
It's true. I'm gonna put in the
very
poll
first
options.
episode of 2025. You guys decide what we're gonna talk about.
Your
This
choices
is a big moment
for this poll are: we can look at some 3D prints, we can check out some adventures, we can go through some articles, we can look at a new class, we can look at some creatures, we could check out some items, we could look at some maps. I was like, I don't know if I can keep going higher. I think at some point I'm gonna hit a wall.
You're going to hit like maximum velocity here.
We can look at some races and species.
Okay, now you're dying. I think you've officially lost oxygen.
Tools. Or finally zines. Boop. So the way this works, I had said it at the beginning, but now that we're back on track and it is at the end, and it is the words. Okay, cool. One day I'll word. That's fine. 24 hours from the end of this stream, there will be a poll that is open. Each of us DMs, so that's me, DM Lacara, DM Shin, but also you haven't met many of these people yet because they say that they're down for this and then they don't actually come to any of the streams, but they're there. We have DM Nystrick, Dungeon Mommy, you've met, DM Bacon, and DM Speedy. They also, yeah, DM Bacon, you've also met. They all have votes in this, but the community also gets a vote. So whatever you guys decide you want to do, whatever has the most votes from the community goes in. So you have 24 hours, but I mean, you can throw it in now. It's all gravy. I will make that poll in our chat in a little bit.
That means if you get all your votes in, you can compete with other people watching this video to vote the last vote of 2024 for the very first video of 2025. Just cool stuff in there for that. Think about it.
Yes. Okay, so solo supplementals kind of ended up starting off as like a book club, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of books I'm going to go over. But technically that could be like a TTRPG book club. Interesting. We could all read books. Like so this was our first homework.
The way you say it.
Yeah. This is our first homework assignment, and it took us 5 episodes. The first class we did, when we started DM Roundtable, that took us 7 streams to get through. And that was just one class. So we're getting
better.
Yeah, we're getting better. I think this was our first homework assignment, and we put it in 5. I think 5 is a good like number that we should try never to exceed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think if we can get it down to 4 by the end of 2025, we're really killing it.
Ooh, which one do you need clarification on? The 3D prints, I bet, is probably the most confusing, but basically we're going to go look at STL files and then talk about how cool they are, number one. But number two, where they'll fit into you building your characters and stuff like that. Or whatever you want to use as a stat block, how you would make them run. Oh, tools is stuff that, for example, I don't need to. I'm not worried about anyone seeing my bookmarks. There's like nothing unseemly in here. I'm not Jack DT.
Are you sure about that?
But there's plenty of tools that you could look for. Like if we go into CR calculator, or I personally use TetraCube to make. Oh, it still has one of my creatures saved. That's crazy. This is specifically the character I was talking about, the spell scar that can absorb damage and hit people with. It actually has this. I don't know. I can't tell you the last time I logged in to TetraCube, but TetraCube is so you can make stat blocks. They'll look like real D&D stat blocks. There's plenty of stuff like that. There's other programs and stuff that we could go into. That's tools. And zines is, I don't have a lot of them. I don't have any that I have bookmarked. But there are still people who release, it's surprisingly common on itch.io, where people will be like, oh, I got together with a bunch of other creators and we're releasing a zine that's just got our little additions to supplements, or our little additions as like a little miniature supplement, like a 2 to... Some of them are considered zines, but they're like 50 pages. That's not what we're going to go into. But it'll have like, here's a creature, here's a mini game you can throw into your campaign, all in one little book. Here's maybe an adventure hook. And not all of them, a lot of them are system agnostic as opposed to straight D&D as well. I've been noticing that the zines are usually system agnostic, or they're for Troika. There's tons of stuff for Troika. Ooh, if I could get my hands on them, I freaking would. I'm sure there's a way. They're probably in like Internet Archive at this point.
Internet Archive's not the same anymore, though.
Aw. I can't remember there was, when I first got into D&D, there was a... Okay, well, it's gone now, so no one's going to come after me for it. There was a website that just had every single TTRPG thing that anyone had published from like the 60s up until the early 2000s. And I saved so many bookmarks. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then after I started DMing for like a year, and I was like, oh, it's time for me to start reading all these things I bookmarked, the site had gone down because they were considering it piracy. And I was like, where else could we have gotten those books? Like, if you sold those books, people would buy them, but there was no other place to get them.
They knew.
Jerks.
They wanted you to suffer, okay?
Truly, they've hurt me. Why have they done this? But yeah.
It's okay, it built character.
Ugh, it's true.
But, like we say all the time, folks, it is amazing that you guys joined us here at the Roundtable. It is awesome that we've been able to do this for 9 months. Obviously, Okami said it best earlier. We do it a hell of a lot more. And keep bringing more of you in here. So tell your friends all about it. Don't make us send you to the demi-plane of sludge. Listen to DM Lacara's kind words and click all the buttons. And most importantly, we hope that you guys continue to enjoy the content we produce. I know I can speak, I think, pretty much for myself and DM Lacara when I say that we are always excited to bring you the awesome flavor and join Okami for this.
Oh, yeah.
Because, quite honestly, we have a lot of thoughts, and we need to get them out.
And our people are tired of listening to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this mostly spares our players from hearing us go off. 'Cause God knows my players are like, he's talking about D&D again.
I am for sure one of those people where even if it's people I've never met, if I'm at a gathering, I almost said a gala for some reason. Nope, I don't think they're talking about D&D at a gala. But if I'm at a gathering and it's people I've never met, if someone brings up D&D, I'm a sidle right up next to them. Excuse me?
Yeah, no, we're best friends.
Yeah, this is my new best friend.
I hear D&D, I might as well pull. Like, I don't want to ever reach that point, but there's 3 things that I will pull out of my pocket: loose change, guitar picks, and dice. And it's only because I usually have one of those 3 things in my pocket. And the number of times I've pulled out, like, oh, I have change in my pocket. Let me get rid of this spare change that I have zero purpose for because I hate carrying change around. I yank everything out. I once yanked out a dice and it rolled on the counter, and the guy behind the counter heard it and looked. He goes, "Yo, you play D&D?" I was like, yes, random retail clerk. I do in fact play D&D. Would you like to speak about it? It's like, would you like to speak about it? I have many hours to spin my yarn. But like, that's kind of the thing I love about D&D. You can make new friends and encounter new players all the time, and you'll never see it all. I guarantee you, even as a DM, there is a player out there that would make me go, who hurt you? And what else do you have in your brain?
So the last Patreon notes post, or if you're a YouTube member, it pops up on Discord, was actually sort of kind of about that. I want to do thank you streams, sort of like Mac from Worth a Buy does, where once a month he just like he plays a video. It's some random gameplay of his, unrelated to what he's actually talking about, and he just thanks everyone. He runs all of his patrons up across the screen, and he tries to name most of them extremely poorly, which is part of the fun. But like, it's almost like he can't read sometimes, but tries to name everybody and just says thank you. And so I was thinking I would like to do those as well, but it might end up being almost like a community stream type deal. So that's also a good option for them. Like, hey, just come in and let's talk about what you're working on in your TTRPG. That kind of deal. That could also work too.
Oh yeah. We got plenty of options.
This is supposed to be a like technology, but this is definitely giving me like old world jungle vibes.
Yeah.
Why was this in the technology section?
I mean, it.
Oh, I got it. I think this is a temple theme from a video game. Like, oh, this is the previous civilization. I gotcha. Thanks, past me. I understand you now.
Past you is like, no problem. Glad I go.
I gotta go, guys.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna also make my way to the.
We
the land
did
of sleep.
good.
We did. Till next year, everybody.
Till
We'll see
next
you.
year. We will see you.
Around too.
You can put in your votes if you're on Twitch and you're watching the VOD later. You can come over to the Discord, or you can find one of us on Twitter. If you're on YouTube, you can obviously leave a comment, or you can just come to the Discord and be like, yo, this is the vote I want to put in for next week's video. we will see you, players of all classes, next week. Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Bye. I gotta kill Twitch first. Bye, everyone. I gotta kill you too.